Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Trade the Chain. It is Tuesday, May 11th, and thank you for joining us. We got a really cool episode, but first, we got Ryan Gorman with his fresh, topped-off haircut, and CJ and Monty, crypto analysts from MarketRebellion.com. Today's going to be a cool episode. I know people a little bored or maybe even a little down, got some weird price action going on, but we'll touch on that. We're going to hit the big boards. We're going to talk about EOS, something big that they're doing. And then after that is probably the greatest news, because I know Ryan's excited to bring it to everybody. And it has to do with NFTs and Facebook. So I did say Facebook, right? That was right? No. Is it
No,
not?
it's eBay, my friend.
It has to do, I'm not editing this out. It has to do with eBay and NFTs, and Ryan is excited to bring it to you. So without further ado, take it away, Mr. Gorman.
Thank you, sir. This is just a reminder that all content provided by Trade the Chain and Market Rebellion is strictly for educational and informational purposes only. Absolutely none of this is investment advice and should not be construed as such. I mean, pretty much don't listen to a word we say. Trade the Chain is brought to you by TradeTheChain.com, a global community of traders. I was going to say around the world, but that would have been redundant. It is a global community of traders of all ages, all skill levels, all backgrounds, and all using AI-driven sentiment indicators and actionable alerts to help them beat the market. If you too want to trade like a crypto insider and you're not yet a member, check out TradeTheChain.com.
And moving over to MarketRebellion.com/crypto. This is Monty and myself and our community at Market Rebellion. And with us, you get exclusive trade ideas, entries, exits, and stop losses on a weekly basis throughout the crypto market, as well as our macro portfolio allocations, a pro charting platform, a trading education curriculum, and an elite community of traders all throughout the world, and much more. If you're serious about trading crypto, this is the service that gives you everything you need all in one place. And you can start your first month trial for just $1. And that's at marketrebellion.com/crypto. And looking over at the coin screener, you can see that we are still seeing a lot of volume in both ETH and Bitcoin. Keeps increasing in terms of averages, which is always pretty good. It means that people are still enthusiastic about buying, and much less bearish on the hourly sentiment. So that's pretty interesting, despite the fact that there's a lot of stuff all throughout Twitter that has been generally very bearish from a lot of influencers. So we're going to talk about that and more. Anything you guys want to bring to the table here?
Wait, you mean to tell me that people on Twitter are negative?
Ryan,
Well,
you've
you know
never
how it
experienced
goes.
that. You've never seen any negative comments in your Twitter DMs ever.
Never. Not in the comments on these videos or in the live chats or anything.
It's still so weird to see Doge at number 4 on the coin screener page. I got to get past that. But
I have a question for you guys before we get into the big boards, real quick. Stanley Druckenmiller said recently he expects a cryptocurrency to replace the US dollar as the world's reserve currency within the next 15 years. He didn't say which one. I mean, how likely do you think that is? And, if it is likely, which one do you think it is that would do it?
I think it's a likely scenario, but if we're talking about, let's call it a decade to a decade and a half from now, it might be something that's government created. I don't necessarily know that it's going to be Bitcoin.
Like a digital yuan or something?
Yes.
Not the digital shekel?
Well, you have to tell people that there is a digital shekel now.
Israel's government is planning to make one, a digital shekel. Monty, CJ, what do you guys think?
For me, Ryan, it's always been about Bitcoin, and it always will be about Bitcoin. That's the best store of value, the most sound money the world has ever seen. So I think if there ever is a different reserve currency, Bitcoin's best suited for that job.
CJ?
Yeah, I'd probably have to go with Monty, despite the fact that, it might be, yeah. I just see it being Bitcoin now that I think about it.
You're telling me What about any of these coins, CJ, that you that Larry Cermak?
Oh, I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that.
Oh my gosh.
ETH is going to be the world's reserve currency. Watch it happen. We're riding this rocket ship to the moon.
We totally missed out on launching a dog-named coin this past
We
week.
really did.
Yeah.
I mean, check this out. 5 of the top 10 pairs on Uniswap.
Leash?
Our joke coins.
Leash? Come on.
That's 1.55 billion in volume in just the last 24 hours. I mean, that is just
This
ridiculous.
is the top. This is the top. This is where all the retail money is flowing in that doesn't know what they're doing. This is the top.
You're sounding like CJ now.
I'm planting that flag in the ground. This is the top.
You think it's too late to launch like the poodle coin or something? We could do it, guys. Have that out by tomorrow.
I mean, there's always a rube somewhere. I mean,
Ryan's calling the top, man. Is that what you're doing?
this is the top. Absolute top. I mean, come on. This is like when DeFi went nuts with all the food named coins, and then we topped out there last summer and then slowly clawed back.
Sushi's still around, man.
Yeah,
Fair.
I'm thinking I'm going to lay out various top signals. Monty stole one from me earlier. But Larry Cermak of the block has been killing it in terms of data. I've got like 2 of his tweets here that I'm going to show. But yeah, let's look at a few top signals. I don't think the bull market is over yet. I think we'll probably see something like what we saw in 2013 and 2014, where we have a pretty rough correction that takes a lot of people out of the market. Like you mentioned, those retail investors, Ryan. Pi cycle is really one of them. I know we kind of negated this and we dismissed it, but now the fact that it actually is confirming and correcting after this shows me that I have to believe, or I have to treat this with some merit before we can actually break above and go higher. If we go higher and break above our previous high of 62K, obviously this model kind of gets refuted, but it hasn't so far. So I have to respect it to that degree. Another one that Larry has talked about, and this has to do with the retail exchange coins as well. So Bitmart became the go-to exchange for quickly listing meme tokens like SafeMoon, Shiba, and is now the 41st most downloaded on the App Store, higher than Tinder. So what can we imply about human behavior at this particular point?
People would rather be dealing with crypto than dealing with something else.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Wrapping this all up, despite the fact that we have top signals, 55K is the critical level here. We have a lot of whales who jumped in at this level, and ultimately it has to hold, or else I think that we're kind of due for something that comes down quite a bit, like in terms. All right, we gotta cut this.
Look, no, we can't.
No.
We got this. We can bring this ship back. Okay, look at the North Star. We got it.
Sorry, it was just laughing at that comment on that tweet. It got me.
So yeah, 55K is critical here, and we are still holding it, which is promising to see, but we have more weakness in a lot of these oscillators. If we can go back and rally and break above 60K, then I am more than willing to say that, hey, let's get long full on and ride this to 75 or 80K would be the next target price. But we're just not seeing that bullish momentum. And I think I guess if we were to examine the worst case scenario, I could see a correction to essentially this level, which would be something into our lower range of around 41K. That's been the level that is held historically when we've had these, and it's the level that acted resistance prior when we had our first initial run up. So it wouldn't surprise me to see that be the ultimate worst case scenario, especially when we have Bitcoin dominance. Excuse me, that was ETH dominance. We have Bitcoin dominance So oversold, starting to get some strength though on the CCI and on that TD by 9 on the weekly chart. So if we get a reaction rally from this in the next couple of weeks, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we went down to those pre levels. Now, does that mean the bull market's over? No, but I think it's necessary to shake a lot of people out.
Yeah, I want to ask real quickly before hopping over to Monty. I want to ask both you, Monty, and CJ, what is the psychological bearing of the newcomers into crypto if Bitcoin decides to take that trip down to the low 40s? I mean, that's a heavy load to lift when you're new into the space and you think everything you buy only goes up. What do you think happens to the market psychologically? Is there enough collapse mentally with new investors and the numbers of them to push past that in a dramatic scenario?
You know, Alex, the way I see it is this market is so different this time around. And take into consideration that tweet from Larry Cermak about the top 10 coins on Uniswap right now. I feel like the new retail traders entering the space are traders that are looking for a lot of risk. So a Bitcoin drop from 60 to 41K is a lot. But I mean, a lot of these new retail traders were trading Dogecoin that dropped 50% in an hour on Saturday. So I think, you know, Bitcoin may actually benefit from the fact that over the last month, it's been relatively lackluster in terms of price action and volatility. It's been somewhat range bound between 61 and 55K. So I think that, you know, as we start seeing Bitcoin dominance rebound, like CJ said, I think a lot of money will come out of these altcoin assets and go into Bitcoin because of its lack of volatility. So I do agree that there's a lot of red flags in the altcoin market right now with a lot of these overbought signals that CJ brought up. But the fact of the matter is, I don't see Bitcoin as necessarily overbought right now. I think it's in a range that it should be based on the institutional interest it's seen in the past year and, you know, just the overall health of the market in general. I think that once these altcoins do sell off, and they will, because there are a lot of indicators that look very toppy, I think that capital will flow back into Bitcoin. It just seems like an inevitability to me.
Mr. Short is bullish while we are bearish, and Ryan is calling the top. Very interesting.
One thing I'm wondering is if we're talking
different outfits you all are wearing today.
One thing I'm wondering is if we're talking about it being normal and okay for Bitcoin to drop 30%, how is that a sound store of value? Right? Like, that doesn't seem like a logical thing to be placing my net worth into or treating like gold. Like,
I don't know. Monty had that comment, Ryan, about that's his choice for the new dollar.
This is what I don't understand about Bitcoin, though, right? Like, people talk about being a store of value and then, oh yeah, drop 20%, 30%. That's the exact reason why people tell you you should invest in Bitcoin to, you know, hedge against that loss of purchasing power and loss of value that happens in other currencies around the world. So, like, what's the disconnect here that I'm not getting, or that maybe people are just drinking so much of their own Kool-Aid? I'm not talking about you specifically, Monty, but like, people have drank so much of the Bitcoin maxi Kool-Aid that I just don't think that they're able to think about this logically anymore.
I think there's a disconnect between the actual volatility and the properties of Bitcoin. So long term, Bitcoin has the properties of you know, a store of value and sound money, and it's getting there. It's becoming less volatile gradually as we move towards, you know, $1 trillion, almost $2 trillion in market cap. When we were only 100 million or even less than that in 2013, those 30% corrections you talk about, Ryan, were 80% corrections. So it's a gradual thing over time. Even gold dropped drastically in 2009 when the entire market fell. You know, it was not a store of value in that sense. It was only years afterwards, like the following year or two, in which it rallied all the way up to new all-time highs. So I think it's the long-term properties you got to focus on and less about these interim moves, although you do bring up valid concerns.
Yeah, I think, CJ, to your point, you know, people are speculating on Bitcoin's value as a long-term store of value. Like right now, it's still in the early stages of its development, and people are kind of recognizing its store of value. Anything revolutionary, it takes time for people to recognize its potential. So I think that it's, the current volatility is just a result of people speculating on its ultimate potential.
Okay, very cool. One of the things I want to get to, guys, is I want to take a look at ETH. I want to take a look at the charts. There's been a lot of talk about, ETH hitting $5,000 and it being a flash and with that followed by a heavy retracement. I'd like you guys to give us what your take is on it at the current moment.
Well, how about those gas fees? I mean, my God.
Ryan, tell us what happened this morning with you.
That didn't happen to me. That was a screenshot that someone shared with me on WhatsApp. A $500 gas fee for, that was what, half the value of that transaction?
Yeah.
That's just absurd. That's not sustainable. And this is what I was talking about yesterday, right? Talking about how ETH has all the fundamentals to keep going higher, but if people have to stop using it because they don't want to pay half of what they're doing out in gas fees, then they're going to, curtail their activity for a while until gas fees fall, and that would cause the value of ETH to fall, one would think. But yeah, $500 is excessive. That's absurd.
I also think network congestion, especially with the masses entering the market, is starting to become a problem as well.
It was $1,094 worth of USDT that someone was trying to swap, and they got a $508 gas fee. What is that? Wow. Okay.
Expensive lunch.
It feels like we've been here before, though, doesn't it? It almost feels like we've had this exact same conversation back when there was this network congestion before and the gas fees were so high, and we're saying, oh my gosh, the network's unusable. People are going to have to go to a different chain. And then eventually that all came down and things, became reasonable before taking off again. And now we're back in the same place. A lot of things in crypto are cyclical, and I think this is one of them. The gas fees will come down. The network congestion will come down. There's just a ton of, excitement happening on chain with a lot of these crazy meme coins and stuff. And once that dies down, everything else will as well.
Okay. Anybody got an ETH chart to pull up? No, ETH chart's broken today. Okay.
Yeah, I'll pull it up. There's not much you can say. Yesterday when our show premiered, the price went absolutely crazy. And look at this volume yesterday, matching that volume we saw on the massive run up from, the just below 3K level to the 3,500 level. And, for this sort of volume, this is a pretty wicked doji candle to see. We wicked from 4,200 all the way down to 3,700 in the matter of a few hours before bouncing right back. So, I think it's really encouraging that amidst that panic and a lot of other altcoins selling off, ETH was kind of able to maintain this above 4K level. It's still, obviously when you have a run up like this, it looks very overbought. That being said, it's encouraging that it did put in this support at 3,500, but that support all the way down at 3,500. That's a long way to drop from the current price. And that may be exactly what happens if we see some of this network congestion cool off and the gas fees kind of stifle that creation on the network. I think, in order for the gas fees to cool down, it may be reasonable to expect price to kind of return to this price level of 3,500 as people stop speculating on a lot of these assets downstream. But that's pretty much all I got for ETH right now. It's just been crazy ride.
Okay, let's quickly move over to EOS. EOS, the operating company of EOS is Block One, and they are launching an exchange. On the heels of some pretty big news that's come out of Silicon Valley with some serious-backed investors on launching an exchange over at Block One. I don't know if this has anything directly correlated with the price of EOS, but EOS has taken a moonshot as of late. And so let's take a look at what EOS is doing. And Ryan, if you could just follow that up with the news, and we'll piece it together.
Yeah, I'll pull up the chart here. I think it's interesting that we actually had a very large spike in volume just a couple days prior to the actual announcement. So one thing we look for in our options community is always things like that, whether it be a large order that stands out among the existing open interest with options contracts, because it gives us a clue, hey, maybe somebody knows something, or maybe somebody's planning to get in with insider information before that event or catalyst actually takes place. So that's one thing that's kind of interesting, but I'll leave you guys to discuss the news about EOS.
Yeah, so Block One has a subsidiary that they launched today, Bullish Global, 10 billion in funding. They raised $10 billion. That's absolutely insane. That's a bonkers number. And it's investors including Mike Novogratz, Brevin Howard, Alan Howard, Nomura are among the backers. There's a few other prominent names. And what they're doing is they're going to eventually launch a crypto exchange later this year. I'm not sure how that correlates to the price of EOS. There's no guarantee that that's going to be like the dominant chain on the exchange, or the dominant coin on the exchange, kind of like BNB is with Binance, but you never know. It's substantial news though. Like, this is a huge development.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this exchange is going to be like some sort of convergence with decentralized and centralized. So it's, you know, it's like a new twist on exchanges, which is interesting. Also, I mean, folks remember EOS also holds a record for the largest ICO, and that was for $4 billion back in the day. They beat back an investigation into EOS, paid a very substantial fine for it, and moved on. One other thing to note as well is they also paid $30 million for a domain named it was the voice.com, which was their social media network, if I'm not mistaken. And since we don't hear about that social media network, which I joined, I got one of those pre-live invites for way back when it launched, I don't think it's gone anywhere. So who knows? We'll see if this happens. Ryan doesn't sound too enthusiastic about it. So
no, I think
that's the fair winds talking.
No, I think it's cool. It's, you know, automated market making, lending, portfolio management. So you have all these things that have traditionally been the purview of like a large wirehouse or a broker. And this is the further democratization of, you know, finance. But do we really need more exchanges? Like, we already have more than enough, right? I mean, this all sounds great, but it's just a further fragmentation of liquidity at the end of the day. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. I'm usually wrong.
And when was the last time we ever spoke about EOS? So, I mean, listen, it had its day in the sun just now. Maybe a couple of years down, EOS will pop again. Who knows? I'm going to get a bunch of bad comments for that. But let's go on to the really exciting news, Ryan. This is so awesome. And Monty right now is actually on eBay listing a ton of NFTs. What's going on? Because this just happened.
eBay just ate everyone else's lunch. Like, all these NFT listing platforms and all of these other places where you can sell NFTs, why would anyone go to them anymore when they have such limited distribution, when you can go to the world's largest online auction site? I mean, this is such an obvious move for eBay for them to do this. And it's a win-win for everyone. The people creating NFT, except the project creators of all these other NFT platforms, they're screwed probably. But I mean, you have the distribution of eBay, and that enables people who create these NFTs to make potentially more money, depending on what kind of commissions eBay levies on them. But theoretically, if you're in front of more people, there's more exposure, there's more opportunity. And this is such a cool idea, and I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner.
Yeah.
They're not, I don't know if they're, oh, they are. So as of today, they've allowed the sale. I thought they were enabling it later this year. But yeah, so they're selling, NFTs are being sold on eBay right now.
Yeah, and think of it as Binance only for NFTs, you know, auction houses. It has the largest pool of liquidity. To your point, Ryan, you know, how is this not even done before? And all those other exchanges which have scarce, you know, scarce liquidity of buyers who bid on NFTs, this thing's going to take over. I can't wait to end this episode so I can list my first one.
Distribution. That's what it comes down to, right? If you have distribution, it doesn't matter if there's a superior product elsewhere. Distribution will always win out in the end. And it wouldn't be surprising to see eBay buy up one or two of these NFT marketplaces, because they're small, they're not worth that much relative to eBay's market cap, and it would be an obvious acquisition. It brings the expertise in-house, because they still have yet to, so it's a limited inventory of NFTs. I should have read the article before we started the show, but I didn't. So it's a limited inventory of NFTs to start, and then they're going to broaden out, and there'll be programs, policies, tools, and it'll be a much broader range of categories. So don't be surprised if you see eBay snap up one or two of these NFT marketplaces just as a bolt-on.
We'll see. Maybe puts a few more dollars in their pocket.
eBay will always win this game. They will always win.
100%.
Yeah, it's great for eBay, but like it also brings so much legitimacy to the NFT space. Right now, there's not a whole lot of, you know, onboarding like vehicles to sell or, you know, display your NFTs. They're all kind of very segmented into different sectors. Like you can buy art, there's video games or whatever. But I think, you know, this could be very good for the entire NFT sector. You know, assets like Engine and Mana, I think their value could be bolstered by the ability to list those items on eBay, a very global and prominent marketplace.
So NFTs are always bought with crypto, right? Usually Ether. If you have all of a sudden, well, like hundreds of millions of people use eBay on a monthly basis, you have hundreds of millions of people being exposed to NFTs now. I mean, that sounds pretty good for ETH's future.
Now imagine eBay allows you to buy those NFTs on eBay in crypto.
They're going to. That's why that's good for ETH's future. That's going to blow ETH up. ETH will be the reserve currency of the future, everyone. eBay will make it happen.
First, Ryan Gorman, he's calling the top. He's calling the new reserve currency.
I've planted too many flags in the ground for one day.
Any parting words to today's episode, CJ?
No. I just don't feel very comfortable with the current market circumstances. And, you know, I hope we have a big move in either direction, so then we can decide on how we're going to plan for this. Because right now, I just feel like we're kind of in no man's land.
What do you think? And let me just ask this real quick. Because if we leave right now, everybody's going to be like, whoa, did you hear at the end what CJ said? So to try to get out in front of that, what do you need to happen to gain comfort, one, or what do you need to happen to say, oh crap, you know, time to seriously plan for downside?
Yeah, well, the critical levels that I mentioned earlier were 55K. I think that's the most important level to the trend. Below that, we have like kind of 50 and 52, then 47, then 41. So it also depends how we go there, right? Like, do we go there over the course of the next 3 or 4 weeks? Or, you know, is it kind of a drawn out consolidation? You know, what I would look for is just a break in either one of those directions. You know, when it comes to resistance, there's not a whole lot above 55K other than 62K. So those are the critical levels in my mind. And depending on whether we go above or below, I think that's going to dictate some of the trend for like the next month or two.
So you're not wrong about that. And, you know, looking into eBay and the effect it had on all these NFT marketplaces, they're all down. So already, even though it's only a limited scope of what eBay is doing, or it really expands out, you can already see people are starting to see the writings on the wall. I don't know how happy I'd be if I was one of these founders right now. I'd be shattered, right? Like eBay is taking our lunch. If I'm one of them, I scramble to sell to eBay. I can't get on that line fast enough. So that it just feels to me like that part of the market is going to slowly die out. I can't imagine anyone buying NFTs anywhere but eBay now. Right. So that's that whole marketplace that was exploding, that whole sector that was exploding earlier this year, all these altcoins mooning because they're associated with NFTs. That game is over.
What are we looking at for a barometer of the situation with altcoins? I mean, going back to your point, CJ, with the critical levels of support in Bitcoin, is that directing your outlook on altcoins, or do you think that there's some other indicator to take a look at?
Yeah, what's directing my attention on altcoins is Bitcoin dominance hitting a buy 9 on the weekly, and just having extraordinary price action in the altcoins. This is the type of price action that we see at the tail end. I mean, Monty showed it earlier when we have meme coins in the top 5 of 10 on Uniswap. So there's just a lot of top signals temporarily, and I just can't really feel comfortable with those.
I just sold up all my NFT coins.
And to CJ's point with Bitcoin dominance, like if that is bottoming, if that is to reverse, that means that the alts are going to have to sell off even harder than Bitcoin. Because if we don't get any bullish price action from Bitcoin, I mean, this metric isn't going to go up unless the rest of the market goes down even sharper than what CJ's predicting for Bitcoin. So, this is a great barometer, Alex, like you said, to look for the rest of the altcoin market, because I think that, if this does start reversing, that's a time that you should definitely look to get out of your altcoin positions and, possibly put it back in Bitcoin for a less volatile asset.
Okay, so that's fair enough. Obviously, dominance is BTC dominance is dictating that. So if we have a rise in that, that's an indicator that some people may want to consider that the sellout. Okay, fair enough. Before we scare too many people at once, let's leave it at that. We'll see you tomorrow for Hump Day, Wednesday, and thank you guys all for joining us. We will talk to you tomorrow.